Dude, are you going to get 2 globs? Are you going to get 2 globs? Holy chat! Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. It's Sunday night, viewer game night. You know the story by now. We got a whole bunch of games to watch. And I've heard some things, some rumors about these games. And it sounds like there's some pretty spicy gameplay involved. So let's get into it. What's going on, chat? Urk, what's good? What's good? I got to pull the games up. I had to do some real life stuff today. Not like I don't have to do real life, like it's all pretend stuff every other day, but like I had a bunch of stuff I had to get done. So didn't get a chance to like really get prepped, but chat, if you recall, the queue was empty last week and there's now 13 games in here. So what are you going to do? We got a lot to go through. We do have some dupes, so we'll probably do our usual 10. I will remind everybody that I will not be streaming next week because, and well, this will be the day this goes up on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, I won't be streaming this weekend. This is going to get confusing for people. I'm not going to be streaming the first weekend in December. We'll put it that way, because otherwise people are going to get confused by what I'm saying. Because my wife and I are going to PAX Unplugged. So we're going to be playing some physical card games, physical tactics games and stuff. And as a result, I'm going to be too wiped out or at home way too late in order to reasonably stream. So we should be back on that Monday, but I don't want to promise that. I'm just putting it out there. So other housekeeping notes. This is, of course, a content affiliate stream. That means the Phobies team, of course, gives me coffee for producing Phobies content. Just got to let everybody know before we get into the games, before we actually get into the stream proper, give people a heads up. But with that out of the way, let's get to it. Just random, what's good? You haven't played this game in a while? Yeah, there's a bunch of people that have been floating in and out of Phobies. A number of people have been floating in and out of Phobies, and that's fine. I actually saw a different game. I was watching a stream earlier. Different game. And somebody was asking the streamer there, what's your advice for not being, like, if you're starting to burn out on a game? And they started launching into stuff. I didn't hear everything that they said because I was switching gears. Like, I was about to close the stream to switch gears to talk about, get ready for this stream. And it's funny because I really do feel like, and I've talked about this before, World of Warcraft was in a position to say this. It's very easy for them to say it when, at the time, they were like the biggest game ever kind of thing. Certainly the biggest MMO ever. And I forget the original question, but the devs' response to it was basically, if you don't like the game, that's okay. You can stop playing. Come back when you like it. Or when you're ready to come back. It's fine. We'll still be here. And I mean, WoW is still going, but it's obviously done worse since then. But I think that also holds true for any game. If you're not enjoying something, stop doing it. Like, don't beat yourself. Jesus, will people please favorite their games? Oh, wait, here we go. Okay, never mind. But the bottom line is, like, if you're not enjoying something, why are you going to continue doing it? And burning yourself out is a good way to, like, never want to play, not just this game, but, like, that genre again. Just don't play it as much. Feels weird to say it, but it's true. You're a living example, too. You've been playing consistently since launch. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I've been playing Phobies. I mean, I play less now not because I don't want to play. And I've talked about this before. Part of it is doing stuff like this. Like, look, if I'm doing an entire night out of 4 nights, watching other games, and then I've been trying to do Fright Night and Monster of the Week and other stuff, I just don't get to play as much. Or, we're just derping around on stream. I don't play as much offline because, to be perfectly honest, I'm just tired. Like real life work, real life stuff. I'm just exhausted. And I know that if I'm in the wrong frame of mind, and this kind of goes to the burnout thing, if you're in the wrong frame of mind, you're going to train yourself consciously or subconsciously to hate the thing. And that's the problem. I don't want to hate Phobies. I like Phobies. So I don't put myself in a position where I would get burnt out from Phobies. that has other implications. Like, obviously, I'm not as strong of a player as I was when I was, like, religiously playing, you know, like 200-300 games a week. Or not a week, but a season. A week would be insane. But that's the trade-off. Like, I do it because I want to continue being involved in Phobies, but I don't begrudge anybody who goes, you know what? And I say this is a content affiliate. Like, if you're not enjoying Phobies, stop playing. Like, that's not like, you know, F you, get out of here. Why aren't you loving my game? Well, the game that I'm championing. But you can't. It's not that you can't, but it's very difficult to brute force your way through this rough patch with something. It's okay to, like, step away, play other games, do other things, and then when you come back to it with a fresh perspective, you'll love it all over again, sort of thing. Like, that happens all the time. And I think it's completely reasonable to do that. The alternative is you push through it, and maybe you come out on the other end okay. Odds are you're going to come out burnt out and beat up, and you're just not going to be happy about it. So I never recommend people push through unless they want to. Like, if you want to push through, go ahead. I can't stop you. Like, you got to do what you think is best for you, but it is not shameful, or you shouldn't be ashamed if you say, you know what, I'm not having fun right now. Phobies is a game. It's supposed to be entertainment. If you're not enjoying it, the answer's simple to me. It is what it is. Anyway, we'll probably come back to that. But before we come back to that, we, of course, have game number 1. It's Dino Nuggy on Vile Vortis now. Shout out to Dino Nuggy because, dang, this loss sucked because I really felt like I could have won the game. Shout out to Dino Nuggy for submitting a loss, as always. It's good to look at losses, especially your own, and recognize not just that you made a mistake. Like, the first step, of course, first step to correcting a mistake is admitting you made a mistake. Like, okay. I'm going to assume Dino Nuggy does not have Snowball. Otherwise, this opener, yeah, definitely a mistake. It is not impossible for this to die. It is really unlikely, but it's not impossible for this to die. Snowball Spud could get it. They're level 58, they do. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of going into this. So I think this is one of the maps that just has a correct opener. And the correct opener is Snowball 1-drop. It is entirely possible for this to die. Like I said, their Snowball, assuming it was an appropriate level, plus a Spud, could kill this. So this does 530. So you need a 400 damage Spud. I don't think that's that hard to do. And then they just snipe your murder wing, and they still have these things that can then heal on the spot. Obviously, bad guy didn't do that. I gotta move my speakers because I always have to, like, reach all the way over here to fix the volume. I don't like this opener. Plus, the thing is the lack of mobility. Like, this Snowball is going to be able to fly around the map and do a lot of things. So I don't like this opener, but we'll keep going. They're Spudless, I guess. That's one way to put it. There's, you know, you could do more esoteric things. You could pop out a Morty, and, like, certain levels of Morty will just incinerate this. That's probably not very likely at this scenario, but, you know. So here's the other thing. Jar is fine on this map. I don't like doing the jar early like this. I have to assume this was bait. However, given the Maggie, this can't stay here. Why Murder Wing there? Well, that's, yeah. I don't really like it there. Wait, are you going to let this creep live? Oh, okay. I was going to say. So the follow-up here is fine. Is this going to die? This is going to die. I probably would have moved it more aggressively. So, for example, just get it out of range of this. Or maybe even leave it in range of this and let it die, because then you're trading Murderwing for Creep and Maggie, which certainly is not... You know, like if you sat down and had to make a list of all the things you would like to trade Murderwing for, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Creep Maggie is not towards the top of that list. You probably wouldn't even think of that, but at least you're trading 4 keys for 3, right? Here, this Murderwing is just like, it's never doing anything ever again. It's going to die. And it's going to die trivially because, like, it'll move in this turn, take damage. If your opponent could... I take it back. There might be one more attack, like one more meatball attack that's going to get out of it. But it's unlikely. Like, I think you could have gotten more value out of this Murderwing. Obviously, you wouldn't have wanted to get it creeped to begin with, so I assume that was just an error. The bank to 10 is interesting. I don't know what Dino Nuggy has cooking here. But bad guy now, I mean, I don't love the Maggie. The boom seems pointless. I hate boom early. If you're not, like, okay. I hate the whole boom family if you don't have an explicit purpose with them. When you just crap them out there and they're a random 1-drop, they're terrible. They are way too fragile. It is too easy to just go, oop, it's dead. Or you just have to like, oh, I'm threatening a boom connection. Are you really? Like, are you really? It's on the other side of creation. You're never going to connect with anything. Now, if you're doing onto plays or something, all right, fine. This just dies to poison, so this is pointless. I like the Hevo, but the Hevo probably should have... Like, I don't think there's... So if the Hevo was here on the spa, there's no point in having the Hevo this safely positioned. Like, they can't hurt it. Well, I take it back. They can hurt it, but they certainly can't, like kill it. This feels like it was just panic. Because if you put it here, the spider can only yoink it to here. Maggie can't hit. Like, everything has to move to hit. And then you can kind of punish it. This is a good pick, assuming this actually dies. I don't love the boop here. I don't love that boop. So this is actually worse than the previous position you had. You do have the Innocuous to back it up, but Droney is clearly not a threat, and Jar isn't that much of a threat. So, like, they could yoink it to here, double hit, fireball. This lived? Oh, no. Okay, so I don't know if this was Dino Nuggy's thing, where it was just, like, running out of time and, like, I gotta do stuff. But for anybody who's not aware, on level, Snowball will cook a Jar. So a quick way, like, you don't have to worry about trying to do the math here, and which, admittedly, it's not, like, huge, like, incredible arithmetic, but, like, just look at the levels. Click on their guy, click on your guy at the same level, it's dead. This is brutal. Like, you're gonna lose this. You're gonna lose the panic point. You lost the Droney. Like, you're kind of getting cooked here. This Maggie has gotten a huge amount of value. I don't know why they did this. Oh, alright, sure. Yeah, like, I'll be honest, the game is over right now. We're only halfway through the game, but, like, that is a crippling turn. Your opponent has to make some rather painful mistakes in order to lose this game. I don't know what's going on in my ears, Chad. It feels like the sound is either way too loud or way too quiet. Tooth Fairy. You know, I don't hate it. Why is this here? To turn off the panic point? Like... I don't know. I don't know. I might use that weird sound effect as the intro. I don't love this honey bear. I'm, like, completely confused with what this honey bear... Also, your jar is just dead. Oh, they're not gonna go for it? Wait, what? Why didn't they just kill your jar? They could have walked... I mean, I guess the Hevo's beat up, so they would have taken 4... Okay, they would have killed your Hevo. Never mind, because this, and this. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they would have all been able to connect with it, so it would have been dead. Never mind. Cartoon falling, exactly. Alligator. Chat. Love me some alligator. I do think alligator's really cool. It's such a basic phobie, but it does have some interesting utility. So I don't love this either. Admittedly, this is dimensional, so the goal here may be to, like, pull one of these out of position. But this is in range of Jar and Cyclops. So, like, they could move the Cyclops here, Jar twice, and kill it. Or do they even need to for... They don't even need to... Like, this is just dead. And it's not going to... And they can pull back and save stuff after the dimensional pull. I don't know if bad guy sees that play, but... Alright, they don't see that play. They would rather snipe your jar. That's fine. That's fine. Really? Of all the phobies you could have picked, that was one of them. So I'm pretty sure this was bait. Oh, chat's weird. So Alien Engineer is really back? That's the rumor, Kuro. That's a rumor. I don't know if that's actually true. Yeah, I haven't looked, but somebody did mention that in chat the other day. So this, like I said, I think was bait. The real question is, does bad guy want the spider yoink? Because they can obviously do it. They would lose the spider in the process. 0 keys to 1. You're currently in arena against Alien Engineer. Well, there's your answer. I think that solves the mystery. Kind of goes into the conversation we were saying earlier. Like, if you're not having fun, stop playing. You may come back. Case in point, Alien Engineer. So at this point, to be honest, Dino, you're in deep doo-doo. I mean, you have been for a while. Is it possible you could have won this game? Yes, but I feel like a lot of things needed to go your way in other ways. I mean, it's possible here now that you picked whatever that was, the Cyclops, because that is a significant amount of their damage. But if they can kill a bunch of stuff here, like you're never killing the Gator right now, right? I'm pretty sure the Gator's verging on immortal. If this Hevo goes down this turn, it's just over. Yeah. They've had a panic point advantage for so long that it is even possible that maybe they just sprint the Gator in here and park it right next to the heart, and I don't think you can kill it. Certainly not while controlling the other panic points. I mean, I guess you could puke on one and then claim another, and then you're okay. I don't know. You matched Alien Engineer twice not long before the stream started. Sounds like Alien Engineer's back. Did the break cause any rust, chat? Any observed rust from Alien Engineer's play? Or is they still the terror they always were? Yeah, so bad guy's doing exactly what I was saying. They can just park the Gator up there. There's just like, you'll never kill it. Alien Engineer's still a monster. It's like riding a bike or something like that. Playing Phobies is like riding a bike. It's like a box of chocolates. It's going to induce wild vomiting. I don't know. Just saying things. I'm, like, shockingly tired, chat. I should not be this tired. I slept pretty well. I think the last few weeks of just, like, the last several months of just, like, nonstop stuff going on, real life stuff, has meant that, like, now everything's catching up with me even more than it was. So it's like, oh, I finally got to rest. This is where it beats you up. Yep. Little BM muffin. GG. GG, Nuggy. So, I will say, I do love the sound of a whole bunch of panic points being captured and then the game immediately ending. It actually makes the neurons fire in my brain in an amusing way. Like, it does make it, I love that sound. It's actually really funny. But as far as the actual game goes, I guess it boils down to, I mean, we called out a bunch of stuff, maybe not all, but like a lot of stuff. And I do feel that I'm not sure which part of this game seemed close. And I don't mean that to be insulting, but like there were a lot of parts of this game where it was just like, well, this is kind of how I see a lot of Phobies games at high levels go, where it's like this minor thing, you know, you misposition a phobie, like say the murder wing, and then that pushed you into this other line because, oh, well, I can't do the original plan, so now I need to go to this plan, and that plan's a little bit worse. Now, because that plan is worse, my opponent can then extend their advantage, like what they always say in StarCraft, when you're already ahead, get more ahead. So then your opponent pressures you more, extending that lead further and further and further, and as you can see, so on down the line, eventually that gap is too big to overcome. And it felt like, I'll be honest, I did not, barring your opponent doing something silly, it did not feel like, they felt in complete control of that game. So, I don't know, I'd be curious what the part where you felt like it could have been the quick turnaround there, but, by the way, I never noticed, has Moffat, like, well, obviously it's always had it, but Moffat has 3 fangs. I never noticed that. Or those supposed to be like the palps on a spider. You know what I mean? A 3-fang spider. Well, no, it has 8 legs, but like spiders will also have palps that like sometimes, I don't know if it's on all species of spider. I'm not a spiderologist, chat, but some of them will have palps that like they can either communicate with or, you know, manipulate things with. But it looks like it has 3 fangs. I don't know. Spiders, chat. GG. So we'll throw this in here because I do want to try and push the event more. But if you're interested in playing in Phobies events, you can hit up the Random Thoughts Discord. The link is in the description. Or if you're here on the live stream, !Discord for the link. Monster of the Week. It's a weekly tournament series. Does have coffee prizes provided by the devs, and it is a smaller scale event. Maximum of 8 people, so the event gets a quick turnover, just a few hours, and then we can have some fun playing at level 1. We observe the games on stream. It's a good time. So I want to get that out there more frequently so that people know, or at least we can say honestly that we tried. And we'll see how it goes. So hit up the Random Thoughts Discord for more information about that. I want to make sure that we state that, chat. I don't know. Do you guys feel differently? Did you feel like the game was closer than I was giving it credit for with Nuggy? I feel like that game wasn't close. SirCluelessQ. All right, SirClueless. I don't think we've done one of your game breakdowns before. I could be wrong, but SirCluelessQ here, if you still think... Nope, that's the wrong one. A glorious game of globs and their supports. That's the wrong there. Unless it's like, and there. Like, over there supports. But grammar aside, I don't... Have we done a SirCluelessQ game with the Squiggles avatar? Which, by the way, Squiggles looks wildly different in the avatar. Wait, what? I was going to talk about the Squiggles avatar because it looks very different. But, like, double werewolf into ice cream? Those are some phobies. Those are some phobies. Yokuro Karma, welcome. Welcome. What's good? That looks like a bad omen. Is that a bad omen? I'm trying to get my sweatshirt off, and that was way more difficult than it needed to be. Chat, what is this? Hold on, what level are these? This is a ladder game. This is not a frenemies game where it's like, hey, we're going to do weird and wacky rules. This is a ladder game where somebody said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn 3 glob. Get wrecked, nerd. Come at me, bro. I love Werewolf. I love how enormous its freaking hands are. I think that might be my favorite part of Werewolf, is just that it's got these big, meaty paws. Alright, so I do like this. This is cute. This is cute, because this locks in. What? What? Chat. What are we in for here? Yeah, a little Wuffalo. And some Firkin to Karst with the no fun with the Firkin. This kind of feels like somebody made up rules. Somebody made up rules for this game, because this is weird. Why is my chat not? Expect the unexpected? I mean, I guess. We're looking at strange strategies? Yeah, that is the understatement of 2023. We do get a paddles for the Wuffalo. Dude, this is going to be the thumbnail. This is, like, this has to be the thumbnail, right? Just a whale fighting the real big whale. I mean, okay. This has to be the thumbnail, right? Like, this kind of feels like ultra rare gaming, right? Oh my, why? Why? Also walk the glob. I mean, there could be a walk the glob. I want them all to be much closer so I can make the thumbnail better. That's one of my goals for next year, Chav, is I need to make better thumbnails. Was it really necessary to freeze the bad omen? They couldn't have killed it. I kind of just want to enjoy the spectacle. Whoa. Firkin to counter the Firkin to counter the Wuffalo. I assume Wuffalo is melee range, right? Yeah. Alright, just to get the heart. That looks like a dead ice cream. Paddles. Ultra rare gaming, there are 3 who are rare. I mean, yeah, some of them are rare, but like... We have a significant amount of ultra rares as well, and also bizarre ones. Yeah, we get a little kaboom action. You know that's going to get Honda excited. Werewolf just slapping the ever-living shit out of that puff. I'm having a hard time keeping track of what's going on. You and me both. Like, normally, I'd like to inject, oh, well, this is the strategy that this particular player is trying to employ, rather, and that this is the potential counter. But at this point, all bets are off. It's just like, this is YOLO level nonsense. Like, what is going on here? Bad guy here. Hero, obviously, SirClueless. Bad guy, not really interested. In the Battle of the Weird, it does appear that our hero's coming out on top. Now, admittedly, bad guy still has 9 keys available, so we'll see. They're banking up to 9, so, like, I guess Hevo? I don't know. Finnegan. After all this. Finnegan. Alright, hold on, chat. How is that for a thumbnail? You know what I'm saying? My bingo card is empty besides Kaboom. Alright, so Puff is live. Like, everything should be live at this point. But now, you can get a Graylien swap into a Wuffalo connection. Wait, dude, are you gonna get 2 globs? Are you gonna get 2 globs? Holy chat! No! What? What? No way! Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. When 2 globs attack! Look at this! I'm using this as the thumbnail. There's no way... Chat, this will never happen again. This will never happen again! This is actually insane! This is legitimately insane! When globs attack, that's going to be the thumbnail. That's going to be the intro. That's going to be the title. What is that? Oh, you haven't seen this guy, Luffy? It's mind control. You literally take control of their phobie for 4 turns. Well, oh, new friend. By the way, the whale is not the phobie. The little parasite is the phobie. Yo, bad guy. You're going to have a bad day. But Graylien plus Wuffalo is too expensive. SirClueless's honest reaction, yep. Could you glob a glob that has globbed another phobie? I believe so, yes. I think that's true. Wuffalo is really bad? Yes, but this is fun. The thing is, we've talked about this before in the context of other phobies, and I think about Wuffalo as well, but the issue is this. At a certain level, some abilities can't be good, because if they are good, they would be oppressive. Oh, DT's confirming you can't glob a glob that's globbing something else. A scenario that's come up all of twice. We're turning off the Firkin. Can't share a tile with a friendly phobie. Even with glob? I mean, I'll believe you. If you try hard enough, you can make it work. You gotta want it bad enough. Boop. See, here's the problem. As cute as that play was, like, they have a boop. They have a displacement. They have slots open. Well, wait, so this is something that... I love this. This whoa, that was weird. Like, that looks dope. But here's the thing. Because Wuffalo basically is non-existent, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They technically have 7 phobies, right? Because we're talking about bad guy here. They can summon a phobie right now, right? Yeah, both wolves howling. I can't get rid of the things. I'm pretty sure they could summon a phobie and then have 8 phobies on the board briefly. Because I think that's how Mummy would work, too. Also, Hero completely in control of the board, basically. Oh, no! Yo, let's get it. Okay, so the glob is now highlighting red. I lost track of how many turns it's been. Does that mean this is the last turn for Wuffalo? Also, the Wuffalo parasite should still show. That would be cool. Got caged by globs. You got caged. Shout out to my Mortal Kombat fans. Like, is there a... Oh, that was the last turn. Is there not a counter for the glob possession? You know what I mean? Like, how do you... I guess because it's the same as this, you could track it by this. Rather than there being, like, a debuff applied that gets tracked on the thing you wuffaloed. Chat, what the hell was this game? I'm glad we witnessed it. I'm glad we witnessed it. I'm going to have to make a YouTube short out of that reaction, because, like, that was an honest reaction of that happening. In the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, there's a potential for a glob, for them to steal a glob. But, like... Wow. Boring, of course, to not let the game play out. This game was over. Well, I guess it wasn't. I guess there's a world, they still have 9 keys, plus there's a world, like... SirClueless's glob probably dies due to the kaboom and a combination of other stuff. Karst gets their glob back. They probably just didn't want to be wuffaloed again. I like the idea that most of the bad phobies like glob are the most fun to play with. I don't think glob is bad. I think glob is kind of difficult to use and relatively narrow, so there's an argument that it is bad. But I don't think it's actually bad. I think, like, Rusty is actually bad. Its ability is often so trivial, and the cost assigned to it is way too much, even at 2, for what it does. Are there scenarios where you could use it? Yeah. Is it more niche than glob? Yes, but you could debate by how much. I think Rusty's, like, legitimately bad. There's a couple phobies in that category. I don't think glob is one of them. I think glob is pretty decent. Well, it's a bad day for Karst, but a good day for Vile Vortis number 11, because this is the 3rd game on it. Bad day for Karth, because we have Karst. This is... Jesus Christ, this is going to be complicated to say this. This is why I say bad guy instead of, like, both players' names. So Karst is our hero here in the blue trunks. An extremely intense match with a lot of back and forth and the kind of dead stall you hate to see. So much planning on both sides on how to deal with things. The eternally looming threat of paddles. Okay, then. Okay, so hold on. I was talking about this earlier, I think in the first game, that in my opinion, there is, like, a best opener on Vile Vortis. However, obviously it's not the only opener, and Karst is demonstrating another alternative here, going with multiple 1 keys, a couple of 1 keys, and a cassowary, thereby preventing Karth from easily taking the center tile with their snowball, hence why they go back here. It does disrupt your opponent's line to a degree. I don't know that it meaningfully does here. Point being, I don't know if you gain much by not doing snowball into 1 key, that is. The reason being is that Karth basically did what they would have done if you took this center point anyway. Like, this is not an unreasonable opener, and you send your snowball to that point. Like, it's not... I don't think this changed much of anything. But we'll see how the rest of the turns progress, because it does allow Karst to have a little more influence on the board because you have multiple 1 keys. That's the main advantage of going 2-1-1 instead of 3-1. Because you get these extra bodies that now have to be contended with on the board. So, for example, if Karth decides to go cassowary, snowball, snipe this, guess what? I'm going to blow up one of them with the Hevo. I'm not biased, but the Gray Lane profile picture is the coolest one in the game. Can't change my mind. I don't know. I love my Jin Sting avatar. Shout out to Luffy. Speaking of glob, we get the glob, chat. It's getting slimy in here. Getting gross. All right, Karth is just going for it. Now, Level 23. This is... I don't know who has higher level phobies, Karth or Hoploy. Cupcake. Dial? Okay, you know, to be honest, Dial as the anti-glob is kind of comical. You're a Leela kind of guy. I wish... Actually, I take it back. I don't wish Leela was a better phobie. I'm kind of glad Leela's enjoying the mediocrity that it has. Yeah, Cupcake, exactly. So this is an interesting play, the positioning by Karst. So it's going to force Karth to invest a lot of effort in killing things in order to dial the glob, is what this boils down to. They can certainly dial, but if they do, they're going to have to put in some work. However, they can just kill the Hevos, so there's... It's unfortunate. Am I taking submissions? You can put it in the spreadsheet, Quandavious. That is always available. Even when I'm not streaming. But if you're asking if I'm doing, like, point redemption ones, no, not tonight. We have 13 games. We're not going to do all 13 tonight, but there are 13 games in there. So we get the backup. Karth is willing to give up their Hevo because this has to die, right? If it's not going to die to this stuff, it's going to die to Glob, for sure, right? However, they do have the Finnegan as backup. So the question is this enough damage? I have to imagine, yeah, Karst definitely did the math on this. So this is going to mean that the dial can connect, but realistically, like, this was a worthwhile trade. This was a worthwhile trade. The dial will connect, but kind of who cares? And of course, you have Walk the Glob available. This is going to probably sound weird, chat, but... I mean, not that anything else that I say is not weird, but... I think Dial is one of the coolest phobies in the game. I think Dial is one of the coolest phobies in the game. I really want to use it more. I say that about a lot of phobies, but I really want to use it more. This feels like the least impactful Cupcake I've ever seen. I thought that Here Comes the Party Pooper. I mean, yeah. Every party needs a pooper, and somebody invited you. And by you, I mean boss. This Cupcake, I think, was intended to connect with the Hevo, and I don't know why Karth thought it was the Hevo was going to live, because there's nothing else on the board that justifies it, unless they were always planning to Cupcake this boss or something. Which, alright, here we go. Get in there, pal. Who let this man cook? The funny thing is, because of the boss positioning, you can't even glob the boss right now. And by funny, I mean annoying. Incredibly irritating. Let's put it that way, chat. Let's put it that way. Yeah, that was a pretty solid boss hit. Chat, what is the purpose of boss? Like, what do you think the purpose of boss is? I've said on many occasions, I think boss Gonzo is intended explicitly to fight Attractor and friends. But, like, boss just feels generically good beyond what, like, say, Klepto is. Klepto is generically good. Hevo 1.0, generically good. You know, like, are they ideal in the scenario you're facing? Maybe not, but they're good enough. Or they may be perfect. I don't know, whatever. However, boss just feels like it's really good. To rule the underworld, obviously. I guess. I can't believe we're going to get slap. Oh, it didn't kill it. That's even funnier. Cooked glob, everybody. That seems gross. I'm pretty sure roasted gelatin. That has to be disgusting, right, chat? Like, that can't possibly be appetizing. I was about to say, why didn't the noxious spit to clear these out, but it did it on the last turn. Hydra. What? Hydra into this situation is actually funny. I do like it. So not only is it tanky and represents a big damage threat, not only is it tanky and over 1,000 damage a hit, you have a displacement tool, and you have paddles. You know, I think I've heard of that, Quandavious. Really? Is that... Chat, wait, what? What the... Are we getting, like... Did the server just get crossed and somehow we got parts of last game showing up in this one? What is happening right now? I don't think that's true, Urk. I don't think that's true. Like, is it impossible? No. But I don't think that they wanted to do it that way. Boss, slinging fireballs. Get a power down here. How big is this power down? I mean, it can still do damage, but, like, that's a pretty significant power down. I don't understand the glob here. I mean, Karst is in a terrible spot. That's what they want you to believe. Karst is in a pretty rough spot here. While they are, and of course we get the Karst signature sock acid down in the south here. It's even, like, hold on. Tell me this isn't creepier down here. Like, look at this. You ever have that where, like, you can see, like, the legs of a spider somewhere with just the legs and you know it's there? You ever have that, chat? You have that moment? That one moment of, what is that? But you know what it is. You know what it is. Does sock acid rear up when you click on it? Like in-game? Yeah, it does, kind of. Whereas this part of it's idle. Yeah, it does. Like, spiders do that, so. Then it just sits there and scurries away a split second later. Like, yeah, you look away because you're like, oh, I'm going to get something to get rid of it. And you look away and you look back and now the spider's gone. It's like, that mother... Where is it? Where is it? All right, so the glob is a glorified wall at this stage. No, the Noxious didn't die. Get wrecked. Oh my god. This was a well-played game by Karst, and I'm sorry that Karst had to follow the previous game, because, look, man, I don't care what game comes after the previous game with Will Waffalo mind-controlling a glob, but it's gonna... You're just not gonna live up to that game, right? Why do beetles always fall on their back and can't get up anymore? I mean, that happens to turtles, too. It's the drawback of having a shell. Well, Karst trying to make a game of it here. Maybe I spoke too soon. This is a fairly healthy glob. Oh, yeah. Spider yoink. Get wrecked, nerd. As always, Karst has played this very well, as I was saying a moment ago. And here's the thing, with some rather unique changes to the more standard formula, I don't know that I love the glob play, but it certainly made it happen. Mostly because of paddles. Like, paddles put in a lot of work here to make that glob able to connect where it needed to. But the glob, the paddles, the hydra, all things that don't typically fall into your standard Vile Vortis play pattern, which is why I like this, and it stands out. Turtles use their head to get back up, but I've never seen a beetle help themselves to get up from that. Well, because it's usually, like, in the middle of a sidewalk. I mean, depending on the beetle, they may be able to, like, flex the back of their carapace because they have wings, you know, and then, like, that'll help push them. I get a little hop out of that. How's Snappy going to get back and land on its back? It doesn't have heads, and the bones on the shell will stab into the ground. If it's, like, soft ground, like mud, yeah, you might have a bad time. It's actually, like, it's going to work like training wheels, so he can't roll over. Boss is cooked. Well played, Karst. This was, like I said, very interesting. I did like what was happening. I think the different... I don't know that this opener changes much from what we saw. It didn't seem to, like, drastically change what Karst did. I think Karst just made the error in the center here with that Hevo, and that really set them back a lot. Like, they could have just walked it away and probably been fine, right? Maybe not. Well, if they walked it over here, I don't know if they had time to cupcake it that turn. And then they would have lost it. They would have been better off with just Muffin. But I agree, DT pointed out the cupcake was kind of worthless. Like, I don't know. There were a few things that were weird out of Karth, bad guy. Whereas our hero, Karst, definitely played things very well, and I like the combination here. So, GG. I thought Snappy was a soft shell turtle. I could see the bones pulsing through the shell. Cupcake should be abolished. Yeah, Cupcake shouldn't exist. I don't know why. I didn't mean to go in there. I don't know why I went in there. I don't think Cupcake needs to exist. I think it could just simply be fixed by don't have the have a warm-up, and it's fine. I think it probably would be fine if it had a warm-up. Then it's like, okay, you have your one-shot Gonzo, which may, honestly, it may still be too good, just because it's too cheap. Because how many powerful boss hits do you have to connect with in a game before you win? If you cupcake boss, isn't, like, just connecting once with a decent one is probably enough to win the game, right? All right. We have some regular competitors from Fright Night showing up in this game review. Lord Shinrax, our hero, Set the Boss, playing the part of bad guy here on Teen Spirit. Jeeves Gaming Fright Nighted it. Well, I didn't cheat, chat. I'm being honest with you. I wouldn't lie to you. I did not see that they mentioned Fright Night, but we'll see how this goes. It also heals and is more mobile. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the mobility is a big deal because Gonzo requires at least a small modicum of additional effort. But, I mean, the heal matters, but often, you know, you're probably just cupcaking for the damage boost, right? Watch a dev make a third cupcake with blueberry that gives extra movement like paddles. I mean, that would be the logical thing. Other than, like, it explodes and leaves a trap in its place or something weird like that, you know what I mean? The devs have added new, like, net new abilities like Will Wuffalo and other instances over time. So it's entirely possible a third muffin/cupcake would result in just something completely new. Like, that's not impossible. So, as far as this game goes, we are getting mirrored openers, quite literally. Both players banking. Panic point advantage goes to Set the Boss. We get the cheeky block with the Gravedigger in the south, since Set the Boss's one was on cooldown. We saw this actually in one of my games the other night. It is somewhat of an annoying setback. But we have Set going to 8 keys, Shinra going to 9. What are we going to see here? Presumably more Boss Gonzo gaming. Blasto! If you asked me to name 10 Phobies that were coming out, I don't think it would have been Blasto in any of them. Maybe heals and gives a shield like Sir Probes a lot. That could be true. Other than Glob, are there any... Well, Mummy, I guess. There's probably a couple of unique effects where it's like literally only this Phobie can do this, right? Probes, Glob, Mummy. Trying to think. And I'm not saying like, oh, well, freeze traps or disease traps or something like that. Like, we have trap phobies, they just haven't added on effect. We have multiple terraforms. We have multiple bombs. We have multiple, obviously burst and that sort of damage kind of thing. So this is interesting out of Shinra that the response to Blasto is Steve's. Now, the panic points were able to get flipped. Set doesn't quite have the advantage that they would like, because you would love to be ahead and lock this down with Blasto as opposed to having to push with Blasto. Now, Blasto, as you saw, can create some awkward scenarios where they were able to bomb the 1 key and connect with the heart a couple turns ago. And we'll see if they're able to do that again. Now, the Attractor in plus Steve's, we've seen this a few times. I don't know if it was out of Shinra. I'm pretty sure we did. Maybe in a Monster of the Week that we were watching. But it's definitely come up before with other players. This definitely makes sense. Quagmire and Boom. Sure. That's a lot of traps. That's a lot of traps. Obviously, Steve's was trying to lay down a trap there. That's why that happened. This is interesting because you can clearly get the terraform and then a yoink. So the question is, can Shinra actually punish this? I kind of like the play from Set because you do get this block. Maybe they calculated it such that it would not... there's not a freeze trap. And it may end up being that you can disrupt your opponent enough with this. 6 keys to 4. Obviously, they're going to get the Gravedigger, hence the split damage. I do like that. You do need... Can't you pass through? Well, I guess the Boom... Wait. Can you not walk through your frozen phobie? So this is 550. Oh, it wouldn't have been enough damage. There isn't enough damage here. Oh, wait, are they going to do it? The way that flexed for a second, I thought the turn was just over. That's why I was confused on why they didn't do this. But so this still hurts because guess what? This lives. And this is what I always talk about. We could argue about explicitly what amount of HP Attractor should have. But I think pretty much everyone, except for allegedly the poll that Miss Cha put up, where people were saying buff Attractor. No, I'm not making that up. No, I am not trolling. There was a notable percentage of people that said buff Attractor. Maybe they were trolling, but I feel like Attractor should not survive this scenario. This is a very specific setup, but like, should Attractor survive this scenario? If you can direct connect with Boom and then follow up with, as opposed to, I guess, half connected, like if you connect with Boom and you get Splash, I think Attractor should die, right? Is that unreasonable, chat? Am I asking too much here? And I've gone to bat actually defending Attractor before. Not all that long ago, honestly. And I think that Attractor should have died there. Is this a dead Blasto? It has to be, right? Oh, that's a dead Blasto. Blasto enjoyers should turn away. This experience is not recommended for all viewers. Has there been a more disappointing phobia than Blasto? I'm sure there has, but it just feels like we've definitely seen some Blastos that, like, there was so much potential and then it just doesn't look great. Blasto traded for some damage on Attractor. Oh boy, yeah, I know. It's a bad time. It's a rough day. Hey, the trap got him. The trap from like 80 turns ago. But we're obviously just going through the motions here. This is going to be a very difficult game for Set to try and claw back into. No traps from Steve's, but you get a whole bunch of attacks here, possibly even a snowball, fireball. Yep. Microscopic. Got him. Well played. Yeah, the Blasto... I don't know Set's collection, obviously. And I imagine this was a scenario... Like, I was playing the other night and I was going boss. I used to go Hevo. This very much feels like a lot of other small maps where it's stall a game out, get my big nasty on the board, win with that. I don't know if that's Set's ideal game plan here. I think what needed to happen is you needed more Blom angles, but the Steves actually worked out because you can get into these trading wars over like the center point or something. The Set doesn't have boss. Yeah, I'm not saying specifically boss. I'm just saying like Blasto may be Set's boss equivalent, where it's like, this is my singularly large threat. Tractor's HP is fine. I disagree, but we'll come back to that. I think the Steves here was interesting, and I kind of like it as a response to these big nasties. But Blasto's a unique case because it's a one mover. Its ability means that you're not setting up like you need to play into it to a degree because of the Blom. If this was boss or Hevo or something, it's just really difficult to trap them. And then on top of it, like, oh, it's boss. You froze one of my guys. Well, guess what? No, you didn't. It's Hevo. Oh, yeah, I'll just thaw that guy too. You know, Blasto is unique among, well, it's not truly unique. There are other big things like Chuck or something that also wouldn't interact in a way with the fire. Not that they can self-thaw, but you get the idea. I don't know. I don't know why Blasto went up like that, but Shinra played that well. Yes, Shinra did. I don't know. I think it might have been frustration by Set. As far as Attractor goes, I think Attractor a health nerf would do a decent amount. You can argue that, yes, good players with Attractor will still protect Attractor, but it is, by definition, if you nerf its health, more difficult to protect it. And if it is a riskier play, it doesn't allow you to as easily bully someone out of a position. Where right now, and I don't know where that breakpoint is. Sir Karst said he'd like to make the 3 alien tripods at the same HP. I don't think they have to be. I think they could be different and it would be fine. And not like, oh, well, it's fine, even though this is a little better than that. No, I think it's appropriate to have the differentiation because they're not the same phobie. I think HP is a nerf it doesn't need. Literally any other change would be better. The other changes would be better, but I think the HP nerf could work. Like, I think the Attractor cooldown should be longer, is the real thing. It's clearly intended to, and we had this discussion last week, I think it has to be a multi-pole. I think it might, like, a multi-pole might have to exist for high-level play to not stagnate. No, rarity changes aren't balance changes. You should never balance a game by rarity. If you do, there's a problem. And don't get me wrong, games do that, but it's not a healthy way because it doesn't matter. Because now, if you were to make it an ultra rare, let's say, all you're doing is making it so, well, A, a whole bunch of people already have it. And B, all you're doing is making it harder for the have-nots. Attractor's cooldown is way too short. I think it is. But I think that an Attractor health nerf allows you to set up plays to dive an Attractor without losing as much. Because you don't have to risk as much. Like, imagine if Attractor could be one shot by Cassowary. Not saying it should. But imagine a world where Attractor could be one shot by Cassowary. Not even like leap attack. I'm talking like just leap and kill it. Attractor's way worse, right? Of course it is. But the reason why that really matters is now you have to put in way more effort to protect the Attractor. It is way more vulnerable. So if, for example, Attractor could be one shot by Ray Chargels, you have your obvious answer, and then the Attractor can actually get bullied into a corner. So like now you get this thing where your opponent wants to death ball and group up so that they can protect their Attractor. Whereas you want to spread out because you want Ray pushing the Attractor somewhere and the rest of your team doing whatever you want. Is that like the necessary thing? The ideal scenario would be reduce or increase the damn cooldown. It's that simple. I think a single Attractor pull being catastrophic is fine. You don't need to be able to do it again 2 turns later. I think even in the consideration of a high-level play where you, quote-unquote, need to have a multi-pull to, you know, actually influence your opponent's position. Because we talked about this last week or a few weeks ago, where what if there was only Miss Moffats in the game? Miss Moffat, Octonaughty, that sort of thing, where the only pulls are single target and medium to large key counts. Okay, well, that means that an opposing good player can probably dodge them forever. Or the game drags out to such an extreme extent because you have to just incrementally, over the course of like every 7 turns, you'll get to move up 1 block because you can push them around. Cooldown or key cost changes, I think, are best. I don't know that I'd hate a key cost change. Possibly a little HP. If it had a key cost change, I think it would need a compensating buff. I think you could get away with a cooldown and leave it at 6. Leave it at cost 6 and then just make it a 2-turn cooldown. I don't think, like, 3 is too much. Make Rocket Man freeze AoE, make me design Phobies. I mean, to be honest, I legitimately wouldn't hate the idea of an AoE freeze from Rocket Man. Like a chain freeze or something. I don't know exactly how that would work. But Rocket Man requires melee freeze. It's also 6 keys. That's probably too powerful. But, like, there's something there. And I'm not trolling here. Like, can you just slap an AoE freeze on the current Rocket Man? No. But, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get an AoE freeze at some point. Truth be told. Like, I think that's going to happen. Either those changes would make me actually spend a moment considering which pull phobia to use each game. Would you? Or is it just going to be... The thing is, a lot of maps... Well, maybe not a lot of maps, but there are a good number of maps that, like... Like, think about Xylo. It doesn't matter. If you get an Attractor yoink on that map, you're going to cripple your opponent. Or you're going to have 1,000 years to reload. And I don't think anybody can pressure enough. Now, on small maps, it does change things because now the Attractor is, you know, it's not that healthy, whether we change the HP or not. Its damage output isn't thrilling. So you get your yoink, it better be a damn good one. But because that cooldown's not coming back up to essentially defend itself again. All right, chat. Master Dark on Ergo. We'll come back to we'll probably continue the Attractor discussion. I never did a so good prediction before. It's an odd sentence. But Master Dark here, Blue Trunks, intra Discord throwdown. Buff HP and damage on Rocket Man. Yeah, they nerfed the HP and damage after launch Urk. AoE freeze trap. I think I would want to scream. I would be fine with a phobie that could walk up and AoE freeze. Don't think I'd be fine with an AoE freeze trap. Look at what we have with Fire Ant. So in that scenario, you'd have to have Boss or Hevo 3.0. Rocket Man use rates would skyrocket. Got him. All right, so we get a Venus here. Okay. Good, make them actually try? No. Like, so all that would do is increase their usage. Why would we want that? On the topic of traps, what do you think of a trap? Sort of like a bear trap that does a small amount of damage but stops some Phobie from moving? Welcome to my Rusty rework. Circa 2022. Also, Fire Ant. Speaking of Fire Ant. Buff Rocket Man. It's not rocket science. Got him. AoE freeze around Rocket Man, kind of like a Minotaur's attack. That would be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool. It may be overpowered, chat. Like, it may need to be, like, he's one movement or something. Because imagine just running that in and freezing their entire freaking team. That, again, necessitates, like, you must have Fire Ant on your team. You must have Boss, and not on the board, and not frozen to stop it. Make it 7 keys. But here's the thing. Anytime we have these suggestions, chat, why would they do that with an existing Phobie and not just make a new one? Like, seriously, why not? Because we want to make the old one work? Well, first of all, it makes better business sense to make a new one, make people buy more Phobies. Like, that's just obvious, right? However, the other piece is the Phobie that you're trying to rework already lives in an existing niche, and you're now deactivating that niche, so now you need to create another Phobie that goes back and fills that niche. So, like, if Rocket Man becomes this AoE thing, where's the melee freeze guy? So now we need a melee freeze guy. Everything about him, the noises he makes, the attack, basically, animation-wise, is great for Rocket Man. Yeah, I agree. Good God. Honestly, chat, like, this looks not good for Master Dark. There's more and better trappers plus tickles on Potenzia's side. You do have Attractor on both sides, so that's even, but, like, I just feel as though the Fire Ants should take this. Sizzles? What about Sizzle? Good play here. Good play here. This is a really good heads-up play. That has to die to the lava, right? Well, it definitely dies now. Hold on. Would it have died if the trap didn't go off? If this would have lived and it died explicitly because of its own trap, that is, like, an insane psychic prediction. All right, hold on. I'm going to pause it, like, once all the other stuff happens. 381. Imagine you're in Potenzia's position right now. Would you scream or cry, chat? Would you scream or cry? Yeah, that is some next level, like, yes. Like, that is mind-blowing prediction. And what's funny is, obviously, Master Dark was like, they put that in the notes that they predicted it. They knew that there was a trap there. That's some next level psychology. Talk about reading your opponent like a book. Like a book, chat. Live Potenzia reaction. Yo, I would be... Oh, man. I think I would just quietly close Phobies and just get up and go do something else, because that is... Wow. Wow. I don't even know what to say, chat. Like, that is bonkers. Bonkers. We get the Brony coming out. I love Brony's hit animation is just, it turns and looks the other way, essentially. This is not a bad brony. It's not a bad brony. And that's not a bad brony. 5 keys for Master Dark. Oh, the Venus trap taking them down. And this moment he keeps replaying in his head. Yeah, like that is... That's going to cause some flashbacks a year from now. Randomly, Potenzi is going to think about this game. And, like, they're on the bus. They're on the train. They're getting lunch. And then this game's going to pop into their head for some reason. They're going to be like, no! That's bad news. Bad news. Lock in the fire ant. Lol. That's not real. Chad, it's the night of the glop. Wait, what? You went for... Why? Why did you... I guess that's fine, because, like, this is locked in now, so, like, it can't escape. Okay, now it can escape. Got caged by Glob. I feel like you should have globbed the fire ant there. I feel like you should have globbed the fire ant. I get the idea, like, oh, well, I've got it locked in. I'll just kill the brony. Chat, what is it with globs tonight? What is it with glob tonight? This is the night of the glob. Probably didn't matter. It could have. I mean, it obviously didn't. I feel like it could have. Like, I think it is the correct play to go after the fire ant, and it is important to Brony turns the other cheek as she dies, yeah. So here's the thing. And I'll continue this as we finish out. There's just, like, nothing else to commentate on here, chat. This game is over. It is important to always make the correct play. And I'm notorious for not making the correct play on stream, chat. I'm notorious for just, like, screwing around and just doing whatever. I'm not a great example of this. But there is always a correct play, and all the other plays are wrong. You can get into the weird philosophical discussion of, like, well, if this play won me the game, even if it's the wrong play, it's the right play. But then it was the right play. There's going to be a right play, especially in a deterministic game like this. And not making the appropriate play can get you in a weird position of, like, oh, well, this doesn't matter. And then that causes you to misplay later on down the line because you're, like, not training your brain properly. You know what I mean? But GG, Master Dark. That was something. That was something. Yo, chat. Dontinkle. Dontinklsnif. Bringing us back to Vile Vortis. I've noticed in the last few weeks, we've had a significant number of games where it's like, we spend the whole stream on one map, just about. It's kind of weird. Can you guys guess today's theme of my phobies? Is it Glob? That's not in the notes, but I want to know if it's Glob. Also, there's a point where I think Bad Guy could have won. Let's see if you can spot that too. All right, what the... Is the theme of phobies bad phobies that shouldn't be played? Because you're 2 out of 3 on that one. I think Minotaur's fine. Dontinklsnif. What? That sounds like a Looney Tune. AoE? AoE is probably a better guess. You have nightmares about Bad Guy? Why is that, Quandavious? Why did this Gravedigger happen? What is going on here? People are really trying to do some wacky stuff on Vile Vortis. Chat, I love Bloat. I think Bloat is hilarious, but Bloat is not good. I don't think Bloat is a very good phobie. It's not just simply bad. Like, I think it's salvageable. You've lost numerous times to them? Okay, that's as good a reason as any. I just don't like bloat. Daisy. There was a time where I used Daisy an enormous amount, and it has dropped off. More than 3 months and boys level 15, I want to play bloat. I'm hoping that bloat doesn't get a lot of attention or usage simply because of what you're describing on it. That, like, people just don't have it at... excuse me. People don't have it at a level where it's feasible. But right now, it just feels like a potentially worse Temptress. And that's bad. Now, I value movement very highly. That's why I don't like Numbskull or Slayer. I don't like those phobies because they're one-movers. You need to be really powerful to me in order to justify being a one-mover. Don't get me wrong. I'll meme around a lot of things. Speaking of Temptress. Uh-oh. Well, we get a little raucous. Chad, is Minotaur the most underrated phobie in the game? What's a more underrated phobie than Minotaur? Call me weird, but I think bloat is a good 2-key tank, and I'm going to give it a try, even if they're in mechs in the early game. I'd have to go back and look at what the levels are, or the HP levels are at, like, level 1, just so we have everything on the same basis, and see, like, just how tanky is it? And do you really need a 2-key tank? Like, wouldn't you just... maybe not always, but... Minotaur's overrated, apparently? I guess. I think we established as 50 more HP than Sucky. Is that true? I'll believe you. You think Sucky does it better? Ayo. Once I almost lost to... I don't even know how to say that person's name. It's Tanky. Played bloat on Penny Dropped. I could say it. I mean, maybe that's its value, is like... And I've said this before, that... And erratic, I love it. Well, that creep is fine. It's whatever. I'd be fine if bloat was like, hey, it's Penny Dropped and one other map, and these are, like, solid bloat maps. And just... You don't use them elsewhere because you don't need him. I think that's a reasonable route for phobies to take, where a lot of the Phobies cast is like these niche players. 50 more HP, just checked? Okay. Temptress, there we go. Among the worst phobies in the game. So shout out to dontinklsnif for the cojones for slamming this monstrosity. Get it? Because it's a monster. My throat is sore, Chad. I don't feel like I was yelling a lot last night, but my throat feels kind of sore. It works out, guys. Trust me. All right, we'll find out. We'll trust you. For now. Really? I didn't see the stress levels when we zoned in. I don't know what stress level dontinklsnif is. But judging by this, it does not appear that they are close to level 90. Maybe they are. No, these are level 15. 17? $300 damage on level 1. Maybe I'm underestimating bloat. You're about to get glob? Yeah, so you got a while to go before you get that Akira. The boomer action, we're getting the official anti-Akira tech. You know, to bad guys' credit, they are playing this somewhat appropriately. I'm assuming on this turn they had tried a bunch of Akira pulls and none of them came out the way they wanted it. Yo, where's Big She at? Yo, where is Big She at? Get a little Mildred action. Hi, baby. Where's your good girl? My green screen. Yep. There goes my green screen. No. I gotta clean up and then I might take the green screen down, chat. I don't know. What do you think? I was gonna move my camera, too. I really want bad guy. The boomer broke the theme. Fair. I mean, sometimes when Akira hits the board, we'll cut you some slack. I really want the Akira to make a pull and then Mildred live and it just annihilates their team. Bloat has 150 more HP and 50 more electrical damage than Temptress. Temptress is just so bad. It is comically bad. Underrated phobies, I think Boomer. I think Boomer's appropriately rated. I don't think Boomer, I use Boomer a lot. I like it less than a bunch of other phobies, but Boomer does get used a fair amount. Really bad guy? Really? So here's my question. Yo, the Superman erratic. About a Superman jump. So, because we're watching a replay, it immediately went into dontinklsnif's turn, right? Like, it immediately cranked that Mildred hit. I want to know how fast Don here was slamming the Mildred button. Because it feels like I would have immediately been like, yep, Mildred, just get wrecked. And Blood saw a bug on the floor. Me when cockroaches start to fly to me. I think a buff on Temptress and also for Ray Charles maybe a rework. I don't think they should do reworks unless we're stretching reworks to include like cooldowns or something. I don't think they should rework any phobies that exist. I take that back. They should rework Rusty to allow it to do damage on its stupid ability. Really? I mean, I kind of get it because there's two big undeads, but like, one of them's probably going to die here? Are you kidding me? This lived? Bad guy. You done messed up. Alright, there's a lot of pressure on our hero here. The thing is, well, bad guy's out of keys. So is our hero, but like... Obviously, the Mildred could die. But they're going to do this and try and drag this game out. Because bad guy does have a big life lead. So they're going to try and make that materialize into something. However, aside from Mildred, like, our hero can kind of just rotate things onto Spa. Because the Erratic's going to tank it. Admittedly, if I paid attention, I could have capped the middle point with the Mildred. True. True. We need a cockroach phobie. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised there isn't a cockroach phobie. I don't love this positioning because, like, this dies, right? I mean, the erratic may just die, but you lose the Kerbloom for nothing. It just didn't have to be there. And I get, like, there may not have been any good positioning there. It was bait. Can you kill them here? Like, I was assuming the, well, the Ginsting will die. The Ginsting should die, right? Yeah, you have a bunch of AoE. That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I think bad guy was kind of screwed once they put the Russell on the board. This is not a good Russell map. It was also not a good Russell situation. Bugs that come out of Creep and Oopsie Baby are kind of like cockroaches. Yes. But I'm surprised we don't have, like, a dedicated cockroach phobia. We have Wiggy. What other bug? I mean, we have the three spiders. We have Wiggy. There's got to be a couple more. Roach has regen, takes 50% less damage from poison and disease. I don't know what kind of bug. That's a scarab. Yeah, it's a scarab beetle. Chasing down. This is bad guys only out. Going face at this point. They'll never survive. Pretty much well in hand, despite the obvious both stress level deficit as well as Akira. Fire Ant, true. Also a bug. Also a bug. Yep. Got a ping in Discord chat. G. Too many keys? Yeah. Bad guy. They invested a lot of stuff. Like, honestly, there's a lot of things they could have done differently. The Akira was fine. Set up for Akira, not so much. Tick. Another bug phobia. True. But GG there, Don. Alright, here we go. We got Urk. We're on Teen Spirit. Are these the only two maps we've seen tonight, chat? Was Vile Vortex and Teen Spirit? I'm telling you, they come and go in streaks. I honestly gave up all hope as soon as that Hevo hit the board, but I'm glad I continued trying. See? Never give up. Never surrender. Does Conductor have an ability lock? Apparently, yes. I want a phobia with a hammer that does AoE. Like, a phobia that carries a hammer, or like, it is a hammer. Melee AoE with a leap like Cassery, but AoE and it's slow. Isn't Boggart a frog? Yes, it is. But that's why I want a frog with, like, they shoot out their tongue and they pull something in. Like, it makes sense. Like, maybe that's another, like, what if that is the non-AoE Attractor? Like, it's a 1-move, 3 range, which I already dislike it, but 3 range, yoink. That's single target. If that were 5 or 6 keys, does that entirely invalidate Miss Moffat and Octonaut, do you think, chat? Big hammer phobia. So Urk is, I don't want to say notorious, but does make use of Gesundheit fairly frequently. And we're getting an Unbearable, which is something that, I don't know, I guess it's fine on this map. Chomper Frog, yoink that immediately kills the enemy, then chews on it for 2 turns, can't attack, can't move. So it's kind of like a pseudo-glob. I like Gesundheit as player 2 here. I'm not a fan of Gesundheit anywhere. Ever. Pretty much. I mean, not ever. But I mean, it's fine. It's fine. Most of the time, my issue with Gesundheit is I feel like you could either have additional pieces on the board earlier, like something more mobile, like even if it's more 1 keys, or those 2 keys could have been banked and then it's a way more threatening phobia coming out. Player 1 and step right up. I can't picture step right up right now. All I can picture is carousel and, oh wait, is step right up the one where it's like the battle dome and then there's 2 obstacles in the middle? So you could like float it right over to the bottom left panic point. Ooh, a Crushmore. First Terraform on the board. It's the one with 1 lava tile in the middle. Yes, okay, then then I'm thinking of the same map. I mean, I guess it's fine. I could definitely see why Urk is concerned about this Hevo here. This is, like, alright, this Gesundheit is, like, straight up a liability now. Guess what? You know what you can do with germs? You can kill it with fire. You can kill a lot of things with fire, chat. But in this case, you're going to cook some germs. Okay, so Urk has 8 keys. Bad guy, this is 4, 5, over 600 damage. All right, so you can't cook the germ unless you sacrifice the snowball. But if you sacrifice the snowball, that means they're not damaging the Hevo as much. We'll see what bad guys do. Surely we'll wipe out 100% of germs. No, it's only ever 99%. Haven't you ever seen the, like, the bleach wipes? Tried using Stabby and Zappy against a Hevo 3.0. It somehow worked all right. I mean, Zappy certainly makes sense, right? Like, if they hit it, they're taking a ton of damage. Okay, so I don't agree with... I think bad guy could have been aggressive here. Snipe this, which seems like, oh, well, I lose my snowball, I get their Gesundheit, that's not good enough. But if you have the Hevo here, and then they spend resources to kill the snowball, so that means Urk is either putting their snowball on the board or something, because the snowball would be here, so they could jar or something. But then they're not putting enough pressure on the Hevo. So the Hevo then gets a second hit and gets to walk away. You're just not killing that Hevo. Then they are now freed up a slot. They could put a healer on the board. They could put whatever they want. I think they could have been more aggressive here. But if their whole plan was to go for Hevo, they need a Terraformer. I think Hevo 3.0 and Terraformers, they are best buddies. They hang out and go drinking on the weekend. They babysit each other's kids. Just imagine, like, Crushmore babysitting like Hevo 1.0. That's a weird thought, huh? But anyway, the answer from Urk is Oopsie Baby, and I don't hate it. I think Oopsie Baby is actually a pretty decent answer in a lot of scenarios to Hevo because of the power down. And then also, of course, 3 range, so you can do it from a safe position. Imagine Hevo 3.0 babysitting your kids. Oh, no. That is kind of an oh, no moment. But this is... Man, my throat... I think it's the house, chat. Like, I think I gotta bust the humidifiers out. Because the way that the heat is in my house, it gets super dry. But anyway... This is the nightmare scenario as the Hevo player, because now you're powered down. Hevo's obviously the centerpiece of your team, and you don't really have any way to deny your opponent. Now, the keys for both players are getting low, but they're going to be able to poke at your team. Your soul-saving grace here is that you have that 2-to-1 panic point advantage, now 3-to-1, which is why I don't love this Bachelor. Why do people do this? I guess the assumption here is you're going to pull something out of position, but, like, you could also just as easily end up pulling something onto the panic point. And, like, I don't know. Just no fear here from Urk. Thunder Rocks is a good answer for the Hevos. I don't agree with that. I don't think Thunder Rocks is... I was about to say I don't think Thunder Rocks is a good answer to any mechanical, but that's not true. Like, it's okay. The problem is that if it's a ranged, mobile mechanical, you're, like, never going to connect. If you do, it's probably the result of something else. Which, like, okay, if the answer is now Attractor plus Thunder Rocks, maybe, but you might have been in a better position and pressured them enough that the Hevos wouldn't be as valuable if those 3 keys were something else. It is, of course, a tanky, somewhat tanky electrical, so I get it, but I'm not a huge fan of it. The no fear was me not giving a crap because I already assumed I lost. I mean, staying in games, like, it doesn't actually help to surrender. And I'm not saying this because, like, Urk was talking about it. I mean, I guess that's why the topic came up, but, like, if you surrender a game, obviously the game immediately ends. And yes, there are scenarios where your opponent just, oh, oops, they threw the unlosable game because, like, they disconnected or they walked their team in or whatever. They just did something boneheaded. But the thing is that working through these, like, could you have figured out that you could win this game just by thinking about it outside of game? Yes, it is possible. It is also really unlikely for that to happen. it is way more likely for you, Royal you, not specifically Urk, but like it is way more likely for you to be able to find a way to win the quote-unquote unwinnable game by playing through the scenario and actually doing it. There's the whole make your opponent prove that they have the win part of it. You know, like they have to prove that, yes, I can actually win this game. But there's also a level of the only way you're going to improve and learn is by doing. You kill this Evo here? Oh. And this is kind of how I've lost a bunch of games, aside with Hevo 3.0, aside from, you know, just sending in the Hevo and be like, all right, well, he'll live. And they never live. But you have more Phobies than them. You also have lobs. You can just pressure them. And this thing is not that healthy. So well played, Urk. Very well played. Unbearable. You know, I'll have to remember Unbearable the next time I zone in on Teen Spirit, because I kind of want to try it. I kind of like it. Boom. Got him. Get wrecked, nerd. Alright, chat. I think that was game 7 of the list. But we will actually... Looks like we're going to get to see Quandavious' game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th game, yeah. Oh, it's right here. The Lasso 73. There's like a Wonder Woman Lasso of Truth joke in here somewhere, but I am not. It's not coming to mind, so we're just going to say that instead, and we'll let everybody be creative. But our hero here in the blue trunks, Heartbreaker secret MVP. If Heartbreaker's an MVP, I feel like it's pretty obvious. That would be like the worst kept secret. You agree with me, chat? I find it difficult to believe that Heartbreaker's involved in a game on Xylo and it is not an obvious MVP. Unless this is taking a shot at the MVP system, in which case it's not properly assigning the MVP to Heartbreaker, but whatever. So our hero here, way more stable game plan, in my opinion. I don't mind the Honey Bear idea here, because you can break these blocks, or you can just position it, and then it's like puke on this lava tile, you turn these two off, and then you have a 2-to-1 panic point advantage. But getting Attractor online is just, it's Attractor, right? Like, it's really strong. Bad guy answers with their own yoink in the form of Moffat. Sure. That's fine. Of course, we're trading out 1 keys here. I can never beat it no matter how hard I try. It keeps pushing me aside. What, Attractor? That sentence sounds like a song lyric. I'm not going to lie. So here we get the Honey Bear play. Wow, bad guy answers with Octonaughty. All right. Got him. Yeah, I don't mind the Honey Bear plans on this. Honey Bear's a nightmare on this map. It can be. It can be. Which, okay, so here is a legitimate kit. And we get the answering Honey Bear. Jesus, this is going to get dumb. Getting the aggression from our hero. But here is the case for Akira existing. Even Attractor will never connect with a Honey Bear, right? Like, it. I mean, will it? If you wait long enough, I guess possibly. But realistically, you're never getting their Honey Bear, right? Especially since that, well, that Attractor's going to have to walk all the way to the bottom. But you're probably never connecting with their Honey Bear. So if that's true, Does Akira have to exist? Is that jar dead? It probably can be. It is possible. Yeah, it's a dead jar if our hero wants to take it. I hate that map. I fight with Attractor and Repeller in the same moment. I can see that being annoying. But yeah, is this a valid case for Akira being a phobie? Because that's why I think things like Attractor and Akira exist and may need to exist. Because otherwise you get into these bizarre stalemates where you just can't realistically do anything meaningful. And you end up staring at each other for 1,000 years. Because the person that commits is going to die. Smiley, huh? Heartbreaker's not ready because it has a 2-turn warm-up. Don't ask me why it has a 2-turn warm-up and Akira has 1. Because of reasons. But it shouldn't be too difficult to eliminate a bunch of this stuff. Spud. Sure. Okay. I mean, that's a lot of orange panic points, but it's also a dead jar. This is a good, solid counterattack from our hero here. Honeybear Puke is down, so you can't stem the bleeding much more than this. But unless that Octonauty repositions... Okay, they're going to body block with the Smiley. I was going to say, like, this Heartbreaker just goes, oops, I'm going to snipe your Honeybear, and then the game... It doesn't immediately end. I do like this. I do like this. A lot of people will fall into the trap of using Heartbreaker and saying, hey, I have to... Okay, maybe I like this less. You have no other phobies, but diseasing 3 phobies feels rough. That's kind of rough. 10 keys to 8 keys remaining. But even if those 3 phobies die, I think our hero has an onboard advantage, so they're really not down by that much by eliminating the Smiley. Until this happens. This kind of hurts. This hurts a bit. I would just waste the yoink. That's where I was going with it, is that a lot of people will fall into this trap of, oh, I have to one-shot the thing with the Heartbreaker, but you don't have to. This is also a great heads-up play. Great heads-up play by our hero here. Target the heart to get the yoink, into the dead Honeybear. Rip Honeybear is right. That's a little weird, but, I mean, you're probably not getting anything else. Why not? I assume that the Murder Wing's 100% dead on bad guy's turn. Or it's dead now, never mind. So we trade Honeybears, but our hero has 3 yoinks to 2. This is not a good place to be in if you're bad guy. You don't want to be down yoinks on this map. Admittedly, Heartbreaker's going to take some time to get rolling again, but, like... Our hero's not under a lot of pressure. I don't know what that Spud was doing. So we're getting set up for the trading war here. For a second, I thought bad guy could have yoinked the Hevo in the north and killed it, but they can't. I don't think they can. I don't really get the Sparky, let alone the Sparky in the position it's in. But regardless, I think bad guy's just dead at this point. They don't have any way... This had to be bait. That had to be bait. Now our hero's under some pressure. Oh, they're about half heart health here. So the Heartbreaker is online, so Spider or Octonaughty is dead. You can't do a weird boop play because you can't body block out this to, like, somehow boop it into the pit because you're out of keys. But all of a sudden, 3 Phobies to 4, although it's really going to be 3 to 2 soon. The Heartbreaker's, I mean, it's not down for the rest of the game, but I would have assumed at this point, as our hero, that the Heartbreaker was down for the rest of the game. But yeah, Heartbreaker, I don't, as I said at the top, I don't think there's a game where Heartbreaker matters and it is not an obvious MVP. If you get multiple yoinks, it's not really a yoink, but if you get multiple displacements with a Heartbreaker in a game, it's ridiculous. You should win that game. I don't know if you're going to have enough damage. Well, you don't even have Beside Myself active right now. So our hero does have to make something happen. And obviously there's a risk of a yoink into something terrible happening, but I don't know that there's something some bad guy can set up here. Like, you can yoink it onto the lava, get a hit with Sparky, but that's probably not good enough. My occasion, my enemy put a chuck there. I also had taken into the abyss. That had to feel good. You yoink their, Can you... Yeah, this obviously happens. You reclaim the points, and now bad guy's just dead? Because they can either choose to engage the Evo, in which case they die, or they run away, and then they die. They get you here no matter what. You can just yoink this. So GG. Yeah, Heartbreaker... Heartbreaker feels probably more fair on this map than, say, an Akira. Because you can't just... I mean, the cooldowns... I guess it doesn't matter. They're both kind of... Akira clearly can set up more outrageous plays. But I don't know that the Heartbreaker... I guess they both might have to exist for these sort of stalemates, because otherwise... Imagine this game going another 30 turns because of Honey Bear. That could be what we're in for instead, chat. Choose which is the least of all evils. Personally, I would say just get rid of this map and never put it in rotation again, but that's just me. That's just me, chat. Shorter game here, Quandavious. Hey, there are other maps in the game. It's Bisomania. This game stressed me out. That sounds like exactly what Phobies should do, right? You hate Xylo? I've never seen a person who said they like Xylo. I don't know if the notes were a joke, but this was the least sleeper MVP Heartbreak. That's what I said. Like, it had to be, you know, tongue-in-cheek. I don't think it's possible for Heartbreaker to be a sleeper MVP, because any yoink... Wait, what? Quandavious, what are you doing here? Baby, what is you doing? This is interesting. I don't think it's possible for there to be a sleeper Heartbreaker MVP, because if Heartbreaker ever gets a yoink, they're pretty much always impactful, right? Like, and hugely so. But yeah, that Heartbreaker in the last game was absolutely bonkers. You know, this seems like a pretty short game on this map. A very early Spider here. I kind of figured this Gesundheit was going to make its way to the stem. Although right now it's not doing a whole hell of a lot. Like, it actually kind of needs to float back over in order to snipe that. I mean, I guess you can yoink it. Sure. It's not terrible. This just seems weird, but it's fine. Okay, we're going to go little germs in your heart action. We haven't had one of those in a while. It's been a while. I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure germs in your heart is bad, right? Like, that seems like it's not going to end well for you. Bad guy with the more classic aggression on this map, just cracking the northern block. Little boomer action, reclaim the middle. Boomer is especially annoying because, well, given our hero's current setup, they're going to have to put in some effort to remove the boomer, if they do. So part of the issue with the Gesundheit down there is even if you get into position, it's obviously not that difficult to remove. So the threat is kind of cool. It's kind of cute, but I'm not sure. Ooh, bad guy being aggressive here. Can't kill the... That's just a dead Attractor for free, right? Or Innocuous, rather. But a 4-to-1 panic point advantage for bad guy and a lot of pressure. I can see why this game is stressing you out. I haven't met one person who likes Xylo yet. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody who likes that map. Once we discovered how, you know, as people unlocked Moffat and got more displacement effects, like more yoinks, people just kind of said, hey, this is dumb. Ooh, interesting. Ooh, very interesting. Choosing to go after the Daisy instead of the Innocuous. So that jar can still die if bad guy wants it, but they're going to lose a lot if they go for it. They can probably take down the spider? Bad guy's not interested. They are only interested in the heart push. Taking a page out of the textbook of Luffy. Little noxious action? Alright, alright. I do like the block here. Like, this is cute. So, one thing I don't like about the Gesundheit plan here is I think it really, well, maybe before the Noxious, because the Noxious can be problematic. Like, you randomly AoE the Gesundheit and then poke it with something else and it dies. But what I was going to say is I would kind of rather have the Gesundheit involved in the defense. But even getting it into position would be nightmarish because you have to walk over the lava or expose it. All right. Bad guy making some plays. Losing the Klepto hurts there. Especially given how clustered everything is. But bad guy is, yeah, you get the yoink. You're going to get the double hit from the Gravedigger, presumably, unless you need it for the Klepto. Our hero's under a lot of pressure, but that's probably just south of 4k health. Okay, it's south of 3k health. 2561. That's scarier than I thought. I don't love that. I guess it does matter because they can move up one and poke the heart. Gesundheit abandoning its post. This is what I was thinking. Like, if you had pulled the Gesundheit back sooner, that Noxious could be dead now, hypothetically. At least they have to respect it. It's not... I don't think you were ever going to win this game by pressuring their heart, so it kind of doesn't matter. I unironically hate Klepto. I mean, I'll use it, but I always would see this thing in my early days of Phobies. It is very much a terror. I mean, Klepto is just a baseline, very solid Phobie. It's tanky, or fairly tanky. It puts out damage. It can AoE pretty well. Like, it's just solid enough that, you know, it's difficult to argue against it. Bad guy, only 1 key remaining. For anybody curious why that Gravedigger moved to where it is, even though it's obviously going to die, is so that way the Hevo can't splash both, presumably. Hevo 1.0 still pressuring here, but oddly enough, this block from a few turns ago is relevant because it's going to... I mean, they get the hit here, but, like, now this Gravedigger actually lived. And even beyond that, if these were gone, bad guy could have run in and capped this point, put more pressure on the heart. Here, just not an option. That's a stimmed Thunder Rocks. Who was talking about Thunder Rocks earlier? By the way, also double hits from Sparky. The writing was on the wall. Seems all right. Well done. Well played, Quandavious. Ow. Not bad. Not bad. Definitely, I can see why that fell in the stressful category. Something like that seems pretty spooky scary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we'll loop back up with Dino Nuggy. This will probably be the last one of the night, chat. We started with Dino Nuggy. We end with Dino Nuggy. Carousel here. Let's see. If you still think Boo Fairy's bad after this game, then I don't know what will change your mind. I'm pretty sure nothing's going to change my mind. Like, Boo Fairy, again, we were talking about this earlier. Boo Fairy, I don't think Boo Fairy is in the rusty category. I think of the remaining Phobies that would be, like, this Phobie's really bad, I think Boo Fairy's among them. Like, Boo Fairy's kind of bad. It's very fragile, and it doesn't really serve its purpose very well. Its purpose, presumably, being the power down. Don't get me wrong, you can run in and power something down, but then you just lost 6 keys, hypothetically. But it certainly can put on a lot of pressure because it is a very high damage Phobie. I really like Boo Fairy because I think it looks really cool. I think its effect, like when it uses Stage Fright, it looks amazing. Which sucks because I don't think it's very good. However, bad guy here, Spud into Microscopic is certainly a play that can be made. And this is... So, I'm not trying to hate on Dino Nuggy, but, like, these are the sort of scenarios where it's difficult to support, say, hey, this was a great Boo Fairy play. Because bad guy put Microscopic on the board on turn 2. Like, I think there were other mitigating factors in this game. Now, admittedly, that Microscopic actually tanked the hit. I thought it was going to die. But Erratic is the big payoff that bad guy's hoping to bank on. Pressure coming in from the panic points. Ouch. You can, of course, get the Microscopic, but then you'll lose something. Mike has more HP than Gesundheit. Yes, it also has more damage. I mean, it costs an extra key, so... I still don't like Mike. Like, imagine if that was a turret. Like, if that was a stabby instead of Microscopic. Is there any meaningful play that bad guy had up to this point that would be changed? Obviously, it flies, so you could do something, but, like... Okay, who cares? Like, this positioning is annoying, but I imagine it's just going to die to a jar. The question is, how are you dealing with this Erratic? All right, this has got to be a dead Spud. This is probably a dead Spud and then a dead Mike. Or not? Okay, so I didn't pause it, but, like, I wonder if a jar to here... Because I don't think a jar would have died to the splash from this Erratic. I mean, I guess it's possible. Like, I guess it's not impossible the jar dies to splash, but if it would live, I think jar pops this fireballs here, and then you still have 3 keys to follow up. because bad guy's not going to kill the bow mangles off of this hit. Like, even if you kill the jar, the bow mangles is not going to kill it, and your snowball is still alive, so you could at the very least go slap the erratic. So you pop something out. Well, you would have, if you didn't do something immediately, you'd have 6 keys, 2 hits from this, a hit from this, a hit from this, and then 6 keys. Doesn't have a funny pun name. Stabby clearly has nothing on him. Fair. It's hard to argue with wordplay. It's hard to argue with wordplay. Alright, Klepto's a follow-up from bad guy, and this... I don't know. This is weird. This is a weird scenario. All right, we're going to get a stage fright. You love to see stage fright. Powers it down. Literally 0 damage. Literally 0 damage. Yeah, I think bad guy kind of blundered here. Admittedly, I think the microscopic was like a mistake to begin with, but... Even with the mic, I think bad guy had an opportunity here. I do like the heads-up play from them. I don't know about staying here. You're doing 200 damage to them, and you're going to lose the erratic. Like, all right, come on, bad guy. Are you just giving up right now? Are you throwing? What is happening? And you get pulled in? I don't know about this one, bad guy. Maybe they thought they could kill everything and ran out of time, but, like, that doesn't seem great. Oh, we're going after the... We're just stacking up the mechanicals for the erratic. We're just stacking the mechanicals. Electric Cat getting a lot of spotlight today? I guess, yeah, more so... I mean, we see Electric Hat fairly frequently, but this is explicitly in the line of duty, we'll say. Like, it's actually attacking things, although here it's not attacking a mech, so it is whatever. Dontinklsnif. Dino Nuggy here on the ropes. Yeah, this kind of feels like bad guy threw. They had to have a better line than just about anything they did here. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to take away the Boo Fairy usage, because, like, this was exactly what you would want. You want the Boo Fairy to go in. It turns stuff off. I mean, in this case, bad guy actually had the opportunity. This is 2 stage frights. This game is over. I mean, we knew it was, but... Bad guy knew stage fright was there and was a possibility, but they stayed. I think they could have just literally backed up 1 space and probably been fine. Like, repositioned such that if Dino Nuggy advanced with the Boo Fairy, it just dies. And relatively safely. And I think that they would have been fine. Aside from all the other things. But I mean, yeah, this is a good Boo Fairy usage. And that's why I was saying, like, I think Boo Fairy needs help, but it is risky because it's one of those phobies that, like, imagine if Boo Fairy was tanky. It would probably show up every single game. Because it is an enormous power down. It is an enormous damage output. You can't make it tanky. Like, it just wouldn't be healthy for the game. No damage on Boo Fairy and AoE to Clinico? Yeah, it kind of did look like 3 range. GG. GG. Yeah, I still think Boo Fairy is pretty bad. Because the role that it serves, in most scenarios, you'd rather have Willy Bully. Just because you can more easily connect with the power down. That isn't to say that in all scenarios it is outclassed all the time. I think there are very few phobies that fall into that category that are just like completely worthless. You will never want to put them on the board. I think Boo Fairy is very close, or maybe is in that category. Because I don't think that Boo Fairy is the only thing that gets you out of this scenario. But that isn't to say that you can't win with these phobies. It's not impossible. So, GG. All right, chat. We're getting close to the end, so we're going to call it here. We'll be back tomorrow. Some variety action. Again, like I said at the top, I'm not streaming next weekend, the first weekend in December. I'm going to see if we can still do Monster of the Week, but I'm not going to... There are going to be some complications with it. But we're going to be doing Monster of the Week after that. So if you're interested in Monster of the Week, hit up the Discord. I mentioned it offline, well, in Discord. I don't believe I'm going to be running Fright Night for December 2023, just because I think, like, every weekend is filled for me. It's the end of the year, so, like, there's Christmas, and there's New Year's, and then there's prep for those things. So, we'll see. I don't think it's going to happen, so we'll be targeting January for Fright Night 12. I did talk about some feedback that I got from Shadow Force about Fright Night, just the structure of things and changing stuff up. If anybody else has any other suggestions, comments, or whatever, feel free to submit them. I absolutely want to improve things. I'm always looking to improve it, so I will take everything into consideration. Just hit me up in Discord. I'd be happy to have conversations with people and explain why I'm doing things the way I am versus why we can or cannot do things other ways, assuming I'm allowed to talk about it. So like I said, I want to run more events. I think Phobies needs events, but I also need to run events in a way that people want. It doesn't do any good to run an event that I want and then have no one show up when I could be doing it in a way that people want and then everybody shows up. That's the way it works. So that's going to do it for tonight, chat. So I appreciate everybody coming out. Definitely a lot of fun, but as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and tune in next time for more Random's Thoughts.